Good evening, Baller Nation. It's your boys, the Shotcallers, back with another podcast. As always, I got my boys with me. Say what's up to Richard Bullseye Bustos here to my left.
What's good, Internet?
And we got on the far left, Andre Big League West.
It's Big League right here, Mr. West.
Doing big things, and we are happy to be here again, talk basketball. But before we move on to our first topic, let's talk a little bit of social media. As of last week, we are on Apple Podcasts, so search for us if you're listening. If you're not already listening on Apple Podcasts and prefer that method, just look us up at the Shotcallers. We'll pop up. It's a little hoop emblem. It'll say the Shotcallers on there.
Backboard, yeah.
Yeah, a little backboard. It looks really nice. Shout outs to our boy Adrian for helping us out with that.
Shout out to Kyle for giving us our first review.
Yeah, we got our first review on there. Go on there, leave us a review. Let us know what you think. Leave some comments. If you have a question, you can leave it in the comment section. But we really do appreciate you guys tuning in for this week's episode. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Shotcallers, the _ Shotcallers.
Well, Twitter is Shotcallers Show. Instagram is the underscore Shotcallers.
Yep.
So, and then we also have our YouTube channel, which if you're watching on there, you should be able to see our faces. What's up, Shotcaller family? Appreciate the view. If you aren't following us on YouTube and would prefer to watch on video, just search the Shotcallers and you should be able to find the same emblem. And you should see our faces on there. But without further ado, let's move on to our first topic. What do we got on the board, Rich?
It's a little bit of a light week. A lot of the NBA players are on vacation. A lot of the NBA writers are on vacation. So not churning out tons of news, but our good old man, the reliable Woj, reporting that the Lakers are expanding their search after DeMarcus Cousins has injured his...
He tore his ACL in the same leg that he injured his the Achilles.
Yeah, dude cannot catch a break. So probably the two worst type of injuries you can have in basketball. First, the Achilles tendon, which a lot of players don't come back the same from that.
No.
And now we got a pile an ACL on top of it. What do you think?
Before that, you had the quad tear too. So
yeah.
Man, it's just
That
hasn't been good for him. Yeah, it's all on the same leg.
Jeez.
It's just because, they say that you overcompensate with the other muscles when they're trying to make up for the weakness in their tear or recovering. And so it's super dangerous during that time, and why you have to be so focused on your rehab. And not saying that he wasn't, but how demoralizing can it be to be like so close to coming back, ready to have a fresh start in another place, last season in the playoffs, and then something like this just sets you back again.
Right, and then even then he was looking really fit this summer. Like he looked like he dropped a lot of weight, but it's looking like maybe unfortunately he didn't have that strength he needed in his lower body to maintain that. So it sucks because that's a big loss for the Lakers. Like he was making $3 million, and if he was as productive as he would have been, like even half of what he was before he got injured, that could have helped him a lot.
So I want to talk a little bit about the injury in a second, but to your point, what you just said, we heard a lot of this last year with the Warriors saying if he can be 50% of DeMarcus Cousins, he's going to be great. Do you feel like that's what they got from him?
No, he had that one game in the finals that everyone was like, "Oh, it's the boogie game. That's what we need." And he didn't have the night-to-night production that everybody wanted or thought that he could spring back to after his previous injury. But so to simply answer your question, I don't think so.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So based off of that, Andre, yes, it's a bargain at that price. If you can get 50, again, the same dialogue around that, the same narrative is if you can get Boogie at 50% or 60 or 75, you'll take that at $3 million, right? You just need him to eat up minutes because I believe JaVale McGee was slated to be the starting center anyway.
Yeah.
So you just need somebody that's going to put some minutes on the board and be effective. He doesn't need to be the guy that he was even in New Orleans, much less in Sacramento. But at some point you got to think, really, is it that big of a loss? Because did we see sparks? And I know he's looking more fit, but did we see any real sparks other than a few minutes in the finals to say, oh, this is really the difference maker? Not that that's what you're saying, but I think the Lakers are gonna end up where they would have ended up anyway.
Yeah, that's definitely one argument you can make, and obviously a lot of what you see online around this time of year is all the highlights, right? You never see the players how they actually are in the gym. You see highlights, and the highlights for him were looking good. But one thing I do want to point out is that it's the summer. So even though he came back towards the end of the season, this is a lot more time that it'll give him to, get that condition just right. Make sure he's getting just enough rest. So he could have been even better potentially than he was at the end of the season just because of all that accumulated rest and stuff. So I still kind of feel like it's a lot.
He had plenty of rest
you can
going
say
into
that.
the playoffs last year. So I for one think, for $3 million, how much? What else could you do if you're the Lakers, right? But I just don't think that that's gonna change anything about where they're gonna ultimately end up.
Right.
Like, you want a solid, nice backup center, but I don't think that you can't. I don't think he's what you were expecting from him is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of on the note where I think it is a major change, or they're going to be further off course than what they're going to be looking like now that he's out of there, because this Lakers team isn't a bunch of spring chickens anymore. They shipped out all the young guys for the most part. And in my opinion, they really need someone to just soak up minutes at the center position for Anthony Davis, because we all know that he does not prefer to play down there. You don't want him banging against these bigger guys night after night. He's going to play the 5. He's going to play, center and really try to destroy guys with pick and roll action and diverting attention for LeBron or away from LeBron or whatever in the playoffs. But it's a long regular season for LeBron, long regular season for JaVale McGee, Rondo, all these guys that they've signed. But if there's no one there to soak it up, Anthony Davis has to play there, and we don't want any nagging. Lakers fans don't want any nagging injuries, and that was the best way to kind of keep it away from him, which is why they're going to be looking elsewhere to soak up minutes.
Well, I'm not saying it doesn't suck that it happened.
Well, I think that could affect their standings. I think they can go from a 3-2 seed to a 5-4 seed. Who knows?
I'll go back to what I said last week. I don't really think it matters where you land in these playoffs. Yeah, it'd be nice to get home court advantage, but at the end of the day, I think whoever carries the momentum, and I guess the load management could play a part into that. But Anthony Davis is also younger than a lot of these guys that are in the playoffs.
Younger, but he plays he's got the body of a 30-year-old dude where he's gonna miss this game, miss that game.
Okay, so when DeMarcus Cousins was at his best on New Orleans, he was only like one season where he took more than 20 shots. You guys act like he's going to be the leading scorer on this team that has LeBron on it.
No, I just
you don't need him to put
need to
put a bunch of work on him.
I just mean absorb the contact.
Yeah, absorb the contact, make some plays. He's another playmaker.
Yeah, absorb the contact in the paint. I mean, if he plays the 5, but I think JaVale is going to start at the 5. That goes back to my whole point. I think JaVale starts the 5. He's going to play the 4. He can be that stretch 4. He doesn't need to bang up his body. You have LeBron James next to you. He's never had that before. He's not going to have to play the same kind of game. He's going to work less hard. Do you guys disagree?
No,
he's not going to have to work as hard.
It should be a lot easier for him.
Yeah, and like I said, he only shot more than 20 shots a game once in his career. Other than that, when he was putting up, 24 and 15, he was shooting like 17 or 18 shots a game. It's ridiculous, right? He is highly efficient.
Pretty efficient.
Yeah, so I don't think with the addition, with him being on the same team as LeBron, I think he'll be fine. So that's why I don't really think ultimately the final result is going to be that different.
I think what JV it wasn't what I was thinking. I was more arguing their seeding may change, and I was thinking that's what JV was saying. But JV's saying they're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals if that's their destination, no matter what seed they're going to be at. That's kind of what he's saying.
I mean, that's fair.
So that's a fair point. This is not what I was thinking.
I'm just thinking like a team like this that's as old as it is, with as many injury-prone players as they have, like losing a piece like that this early on doesn't bode well for them. Because they're like the West is, we say it every week, every year, the West is stacked. But like this is not a good way to start it off.
Yeah. Well, better now rather than trying to scrap up a center, because there are some names available, and I think you guys have a list of a couple of the names. I believe Joakim Noah.
Yeah, Joakim Noah's one.
Dwight Howard.
And
Mo Spates.
Mo Spates
in there. Yeah,
and
Gortat.
Right?
Yeah.
Which of those 4 do you guys think is the best fit for the Lakers?
Mo Buckets. No, I like Buckets, but I like him for his shooting, but I think they need a traditional big.
Remember, this is a backup.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if
JaVale's gonna start, I think JaVale was gonna start even.
He's gonna start, but he has conditioning issues himself. So I think the one that would give them the most minutes and should be the healthiest, I would say, would be Gortat, if they could find a way to get him out of his contract overseas. Mo Spates didn't play a lot of minutes on the Warriors, and I'm a believer that, as good and crafty as a veteran guy like that can be, like, how good are you really going to be when you're outside of a system that featured 2 of the best shooters of all time on it? You know what I mean? Like, LeBron's all time, AD's all time too.
He did all right with them. The thing is, he's not a traditional big. So
exactly, Mo Spates.
Oh, okay.
And but then also at the same time, the 2 kind of bigger names that people were probably like, why haven't y'all mentioned these guys yet?
Dwight Howard.
Like, where are y'all on the Dwight Howard kind of redemption tour this year? It's another stop on the redemption tour.
So, you know me, for a while there, I was the one that was a believer and said give him a chance, but I'm falling off that bus a while back. Now, yeah, that's all I got to say. I think he's been through enough locker rooms.
What do you still think, Andre?
Like, I want to say give him a chance, but man, I don't know.
Is that who you would pick from
I feel like he could have been all right in Washington. Like, he wasn't really a locker room issue in Washington. He was just hurt.
Yeah, and like his back is so stiff, so
that's
tight.
That's a part of it too.
Yeah.
Like,
that's part of the risk.
Who's going to play a lot of games, and I don't feel like Dwight Howard will. And then on top of that, people just think he's annoying. You know what I mean? Do you need more deterrence in the locker room? I don't. I wouldn't want that.
LeBron.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like LeBron's gonna like get this guy.
Just take him to Taco Tuesdays a couple times, man. Just set him straight.
Savannah will be like,
Taco Tuesdays. Another name that popped up. I can't think of the last name right now. The young rookie, I believe he's a rookie from Boston. He might get waived. Taco.
Oh, Taco Fall.
Oh, Taco Fall.
Wouldn't that be ridiculous?
On a Tuesday.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a crazy marketing scheme just to pick him up for the very sake of his name?
It'd be great for him, man. Make him a little bit more of a household name, being on the Lakers, trying to help LeBron and fighting for a roster spot. He'd definitely be on the first episode of Taco Tuesday out there. LeBron be licking his chops.
Taco
I know, right?
Tuesday.
So Andre, ultimately, which of those four do you pick?
I want to say Dwight Howard, depending on how the workout goes. That's who I would, if he was healthy and he could play, I would go with Dwight Howard.
Joakim Noah was putting
With
up some decent points in about 17 minutes a night on the Memphis Grizzlies.
The thing with Noah is that was in Memphis, a small market team where
the pace is really slow.
Weed isn't legal. So you got the problem with him is his mentality off the court. So you got to kind of reel him in.
And that's
like him at LA. I don't know, man.
You don't think whatever recreation he participates in happens wherever he's at?
But
he was.
I think he's more talking about the nightlife on top of that stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's what Noah's come out and said. He said, I didn't like playing in New York, not because I didn't like playing in New York. I didn't like playing while I was doing all the things that I was doing in New York. So that's what he attributes the change to before he went off to his South American tour of the world or whatever.
Well, I want to agree with the first name you said, Rich, and I think Marcin Gortat would be the best option to go with. I think he's just a victim of the game. He's an excellent screener, but he's just too slow to participate in today's game. Like, he sets very nice screens, but he's not quick enough to defend on the perimeter. So that's where he kind of falls off a little bit. But if you just need him to absorb some minutes, I think that's who you ultimately go with. A little bit younger than the other two. So I think that's who you ultimately should go with Gortat.
But then at the same time, I agree with you, but LeBron likes to have that open lane, to kind of work in and have guys kind of space for him. Anthony Davis can do that, but JaVale McGee can't. You know what I mean? DeMarcus Cousins could. Now he's out of there. And Marcin Gortat also probably couldn't. He probably hasn't expanded that range out there. But I agree. I think that he'd be the safest bet out of all of them.
The one who's you're probably guaranteed to get all the minutes from.
Yeah, I mean, I think he didn't miss very many games on Washington, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Cool. What's the next on the news agenda, Rich?
We got De'Aaron Fox, who recently came out and said that he was going to focus on this year's playoff push. He's excited about where he's at in Sacramento, likes the market that he's in, says he's not craving a new, bigger market and wants to see what he can do. So he's going to put all his time and effort into training for this year's schemes, this year's team, and trying to make that playoff push for the NBA team that he plays for rather than Team USA. So they've got 13 guys on the team, and they got 12 roster spots.
I think this goes back to what we talked about last week, right? NBA basketball starting to become less and less of a priority.
At least in non-Olympic years, probably.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes next year. But nothing. I still think the U.S. is the overwhelming favorite, but I really do think it's great for the market to have a guy like De'Aaron Fox come out and say that he wants to be there. What is this, year 3? He's going into year 3 of his contract. Yeah. So I think we might see an extension at the end of the year, possibly.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're going to keep him. He's looking to be maybe the best out of that draft so far. So I can see them,
definitely. I agree with that.
He's a front runner right now, him and Mitchell.
Sure. Yeah, we'll see what Mitchell does. I think they've each had their kind of breaking out year.
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell kind of regressed, but we'll see what he does next to Conley.
Yeah.
But De'Aaron Fox, excited to see that guy play this year. I think him next to Buddy Hield are just an exciting backcourt, and I just like seeing Buddy Hield explode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Team USA roster is down to Harrison Barnes, who is also a King, Jaylen Brown, Joe Harris from the Nets, Kyle Kuzma, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, Donovan Mitchell, Mason Plumlee, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Miles Turner, Kemba Walker, and Derek White. So assuming that Popovich doesn't steal one of their spots from them, because we saw him hooping it up on Donovan Mitchell's Instagram, there's one guy that's going to be on the outs. So out of those guys, who do you think might be left behind and not left out of the top 12 that makes the team, Andre?
I think it's probably going to be a guard. I think he's got Kemba's definitely playing. He's playing the most minutes right now starting. Derek White looks like he's taking a good amount of minutes too. Pop likes him. I mean, he's his player. Donovan Mitchell.
He's definitely staying.
Yeah. He's been there, so I don't know, man.
I think Plumlee's going to be kind of on his way
Yeah, it might
out.
be Plumlee.
Yeah, not as good of a passer. I think that team is going to be, high energy, frenetically fizzing the ball around the court from side to side and trying to play that, share the ball and make a decision. What the Spurs say is you got 1.5 seconds to either shoot or pass. You got to pick one. There's no holding the ball. And while, Plumlee's not scared to just shoot it, he's not as quick on the pass either. So and he's definitely not scared to shoot and go up with his athleticism. I don't see him being as quick of a passer, able to make quick decisions in an environment like that. He's usually the recipient of passes in Denver, but I think they want to have a little more free flow, like I said. So I think it'll be Mason Plumlee that's on his way out and go forward with all the other guys because they got a lot of shooting.
You say that, but
to that point, go ahead, Andre.
You talk about quit passing, but you also Barnes is up there too.
Much as I love the black hole,
as much as I love Harrison Barnes, man, he will hang on to the ball and throw it up. So.
Yeah. Well, to what you just said, Rich, you just said they got a lot of shooting. So my pick for who they would be left out, because I feel like he's more of a specialist, would be Joe Harris. I think you got plenty of shooting. He's kind of a D3 kind of guy.
But he won the 3-point contest.
Yeah,
you got to give him his credit.
But they got plenty of shooting, so I think he'd probably be the odd man left out. And I think they need the height from Mason Plumlee.
Well, that's true. But I like Joe Harris a lot because he moves off the ball. He knows that guys are expecting him to shoot. No, me too, me too. But I think that they're gonna stick to him, keep with him because they like his off ball movement. Kind of like it's all emulating Steph Curry, where you think he's gonna be here, you kind of rest. You're like, okay, he doesn't have the ball right now. He's not in the play. Zoom, he moves to an open spot, even at the 2-point range, gets the ball and jacks it up within a second.
Yeah, and I can see Tatum losing his spot too.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, he would be the likelier one to step down rather than get dropped.
Cut. Yeah. But like a lot of these
that's
guys,
probably likely that's what's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna be like, you know what? I'm just gonna.
No, I think those Boston boys want to play together as much as possible.
Makes sense.
Like we were saying last week.
I think he's the weak link out of them though. Definitely.
I don't think necessarily he's going to step down, but I think that's likelier to happen.
Have y'all looked at any of the games so far?
No.
Yeah, he's been playing like he was last. Yeah, he's been throwing up a lot of bricks.
I mean, the only way to shoot.
When does the group stage start? Group stage starts what, this week?
I believe so.
Yeah. So far, we've only been watching warm-ups. Seen some upsets in warm-ups, but
yeah, there's been a lot of
and that it was
it Spain?
No, I was just more gonna
Australia lost
talk about PJ Tucker. I thought you were gonna talk about that time that the G Leaguers beat Team USA in like a
that's what it was.
Scrimmage.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, and so everybody was kind of down, and Jason Tatum was breaking a lot of shots. But then the next day, PJ Tucker came out and said, "Well, you got to take context into it." And he said other words basically, but he's like, "It was after a long practice. We were kind of winded and things weren't going well, but it wasn't exactly us trying all out 100%, which is why they got outshot like 37 to like 17 or
it was really bad.
Something like that. It was really bad, but I mean, context is key, and the tweet, you wouldn't have believed that, or if you hadn't gotten that context, it looks way worse than when you have more sides of the story. And that tweet or that article didn't come out till the next day.
Of course, I mean, you got to get your clicks, man.
Yeah, no, you're right, but it just makes me think that it's nice that we have a format like this where you have a whole week for things to develop before we have our kind of say on it or our opinion on whatever it is with multiple angles on the situation. We're not just kind of trying to jump out and say the first thing that comes to our mind for the clicks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. But we'll see how it goes. Lots of basketball going on for anybody who can't wait. Make sure to check out the FIBA.
Oh, and Team USA, they're going to be streaming all their games on Twitch for free. So
there you go.
You don't got to worry about what channel you have this or what
get
time
your Kappas ready.
Twitch is free.
Spoopy pleases.
So, dang, Twitch is expanding.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they had
Twitch
the G League Championship.
Yeah, they already had G League. Yeah.
Are we about to see like a whole Twitch has live sports kind of deal?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe CJ.
Oh, De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox. That'd actually be perfect. Doesn't De'Aaron Fox like participate in a lot of stuff? Doesn't he go to like
on the HyperX team, him and Embiid, and I think
that'd be perfect.
Gordon Hayward too. I think.
Yeah, those would be the perfect spokespeople. Oh yeah, I saw.
I saw him in he came to DreamHack, man. He was here.
Was he? Oh,
yeah,
I didn't see him on
That's
that.
awesome.
That one. You didn't tell me.
I posted.
Oh, you saw De'Aaron Fox.
You know what's funny?
I thought you meant Gordon Hayward.
When you finally see those guys like in person, like they seem shorter and relatively.
On TV?
Relatively,
De'Aaron,
they're standing next to like Marvin Bagley.
Yeah.
But then you stand next to him, you're like,
this dude's definitely 6'5". Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude is big.
Cool. So that does it for our news segment. If there's anything that pops up in the news that you'd like us to cover that maybe we didn't cover on today's episode, shoot us a message to shotcallersshow on Twitter or shotcallersshow@gmail.com so we can cover your topic of choice. But to move on, we're going to talk about a little segment that has been requested by a few people here or there, and it's going to be naming our top 5 duos. So this offseason was a crazy one. A lot of trades, signings, and we feel like we've moved on from the big 3 era and officially are in the duo era.
This is something that I was pining for like 5 years ago. Like you think back to like 2003, 2004, and you had your big threes or your, the dominating Lakers or whatever. The Pistons were a team of like ragtag, good, a mesh unit. But besides that, you had like Jason Kidd on the Nets and Dirk and Dallas and Tim Duncan before, Tony Parker and Manu had really come into their own. So it felt like everybody kind of had one guy. Yeah. And now it feels like a lot of teams have 2 guys. Yeah. And that's really cool. Just like the equality of it all.
Yeah. I mean, the big 3, it's crazy because you just mentioned, I think, a big 3 that people don't talk about because it was self-made, but the Spurs.
They talk about
but the first official launch, right, of the big 3 era was the Celtics and then the Heat. And then it's kind of been going around that way. And then the Warriors did the
Hampton
5.
Yeah, the 5, the 4, then the 5.
Ridiculous. But now we moved on to the era of duos. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over each of our top 5 duos. So start off at number 5 and work your way up. Who wants to go first?
Andre, what you got?
Let's go. Let's go across. So at number 5, this one was kind of hard for me just because I feel like there's a lot of obviously a lot of teams who can fall into this. And context, these picks anyway, like a lot of these are just predictions because a lot of these are, they're new duos. Like there's been a lot of changes in the NBA
and also
this
for you guys watching and listening, this is not including injuries. So
not including healthy. This is everyone healthy. So at 5, I had Embiid and Simmons, just because they're a very strong team. They took the champions to 7.
Yeah.
They do very well together. Like their plus minus together is like ridiculous. The only thing I will say is, in the playoffs, it can be neutralized a bit. You sag off Ben Simmons, and he can't really do anything as much. It gets harder to dump the ball off Embiid because you got people cheating on Ben. But assuming Ben works on that, it's a pretty good recipe. But what do you guys think?
Number 5. The only thing about that rating is that when Ben Simmons is on the floor by himself without Embiid, the defensive rating plummets. Yeah. Ben Simmons is a good defender, but overall, and that must just be a team thing more so than a duo thing. Obviously, it is the team game.
The Sixers didn't really have a good 5 outside of it.
I think the bigger contributor. I think it's very and I'd have to be looking at the numbers to confirm, but I feel like Embiid carries the majority of that plus minus. So what's your number 4?
That's a fair take. Oh, so are we just doing 5s? Let's just do 5.
Oh, let's all do 5. Okay.
I got you. And then that way, if we have a team that somebody already talked about, we kind of already knocked it out and kind of add or just keep going.
Okay.
So the 5th, I actually have the Portland Trailblazers starting backcourt. Not as flashy as some of these other teams that, have
they were my honorable mention.
And they're going to be, those flashier teams like LeBron and them, I'm sure we're going to have a little bit higher up. But something to be said about consistency. I think that I really think that Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum are going to have their sights set on a longer playoff run. And they always do. They always want to contend for a championship. But they're saying, okay, we were a little tired at the end of the season, or I need to be in even better conditioning. They're going to take that to heart. And I really think that they're in their prime. Damian Lillard's 29. They can sustain, like James Harden's been sustaining for like 2-3 years, and just keep it going up. So just because the other team's form doesn't knock the guys that have been in place and are looking really explosive. I like some of the additions that they made. And I think those two as a duo can go up against anybody on any given night. So I got them at the 5.
Okay. You guys know I love the Portland Trail Blazers backcourt. They're not in my top 5 because I feel like compared to these 5 that I'm about to mention, I don't feel like CJ is quite at that level. And it might surprise you that I say that and then I give you my number 5. But I think they very much rely on the dynamic of the team chemistry. Mm-hmm. Damian Lillard is world class. We know that. But then there's a huge drop off right between him and CJ. And while CJ he's shown to be very clutch. He showed that last season.
He's shown it for years.
So he definitely has the clutch factor. But I think just comparatively, they fall right out of that top 5, which leads me into my number 5, and it's going to be the Joker. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray in Denver.
That's actually a really good one.
I feel like Jokic has the potential to be MVP caliber, and Jamal Murray is only getting the progression he's making is so rapid. And I feel like with the maturity and then having the experience of being in the semifinals and kind of seeing, that I feel like he lacked a little bit of discipline, and some of the shots that were made that he was taking late in games probably weren't the best shot that was available. So kind of slowing it down and allowing the game to come to him would definitely help improve his game. And Jokic, I just talked about how he has MVP potential. The fact that he played that one game, he played like 60 minutes. How many minutes was that?
I feel like it was 54 minutes or 55.
Yeah,
minutes.
he has that right there solidified him as a baller. Like, dude does not care how tired he is. He's gonna go out there until he gets that W. Granted, they lost that game, but I think this year is the year we start seeing Jokic in that MVP conversation. He should have been in it this year, and I think they only get better, and they're the most well-established team. So, with one of the better established teams. So I think now, with the youth combined with the maturity and the experience, I think that duo will elevate itself to the top 5.
Yeah, and that's definitely true. Like, they say that the game slows down for you year after year as you get older.
Get more experience,
and so, like, Jamal Murray's going to be able to go back and look back at that 7-game Spurs series. You know what I mean? Push to the limit.
Yep.
Elimination game. The year before that, they had an elimination game against the Timberwolves to just get into the playoffs. So if they're looking forward for progression, I mean, it's fair to think that he could progress. And Jamal, there's not enough good things to be said about Nikola Jokic. Like, an offense that can be run from your center position is unlike almost any we've seen over the years. You see one every once in a while with Joakim Noah when Derrick Rose was out, when he was running the offense from the elbow. Yeah. Nikola Jokic, a little bit similar. And Joakim Noah was in talks for MVP that year. Why couldn't Jokic do it himself this year again?
Yeah, and Jokic doesn't put out the Instagram workout videos, so who knows? Maybe he slimmed down a little bit.
Have you seen him on Instagram? He'd be in the clubs dancing with his shirt off.
Does he looking fit? Oh, damn. Well, then there goes my case for him getting fit more.
That's
fit.
all right. He still produces. It doesn't matter what he looks like.
His conditioning might not look great, but I was just thinking, kind of like Boogie was kind of slimming down. Maybe Jokic would do a little bit of that.
He needs that.
If it ain't broke, don't fix
insulation
it.
from the banging bodies. He needs the insulation.
That's true. His game requires him to have a little bit of weight in it. Do you guys want to snake it?
Yeah,
we can. Back. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I'll go to my number 4, and I'm going to put LeBron and AD, and that's probably going to surprise a lot of people who put him at number 4.
Pretty surprising.
So I think LeBron's regressing as a player. Father Time's taking its toll.
Clearly.
4 is not a bad ranking. We're talking about the entire NBA, so to put him in the top 4. And then when we look at the top 3, you'll see, I'll make my point as to why I put those above him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, ultimately LeBron is not LeBron. It's not Miami Heat LeBron. It's not LeBron that carried them to the 2018 finals. So ultimately I think 2017 finals.
No, 2018 finals too. After the
the one they won was 16. I'm
17,
sorry.
17.
Yeah, they won 16.
Yeah.
He's not LeBron anymore. He's still very, very good because that's just who LeBron is. But I think anywhere that LeBron has gone, and I know this is his second year with the Lakers, but anywhere where LeBron has gone and it's his first year, it's technically his first year, right? Because the whole team is brand new. So it's like he just joined another team, right? But they came to him in this case.
Yeah.
He always has those rough starts. We saw it in Miami. We saw it when he went back to Cleveland. I think that's going to happen again, and that's ultimately why I put him at number 4, because I think they're going to struggle out of the gate. And I don't think the other 3 are going to have quite that difficult of a time.
I would say LeBron's probably pretty adept at figuring stuff out by now, and he's doing that whole summer training camp before the actual team camp and stuff. And him and AD, man, they've been tampering for years. They already know what they're going to do.
They plays already since last year.
They already know.
I'll definitely expand on why I have the Lakers where I rank them, because I have them a little bit higher than yours. For my 4th, I had the 76ers. A lot of what Andre was saying, that defense is just too good with Joel Embiid out there on the floor. So scary. So hard to game plan for. Just like you just see guys turn towards the rim, and just the amount of shots that he alters. You say that about any good shot blocker. Like, guys go up to the rim thinking one thing, and guys that just don't even shoot. Like, it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. Guys that don't shoot just because he's there, or have to alter a shot that he doesn't touch. So just crazy. And then I have been watching and buying into the Instagram videos. So Ben Simmons looks like he's been shooting a little more comfortable. All he needs is 1.5 moves. Like, not that he's got to shoot from long range, but just give him a little running hook.
Give him a threat. Give him something to think about.
Something to think about, exactly. But I don't
until he gives them something to think about, I'm gonna reserve my judgment.
That's fair.
No, that's fair. I'm just saying
That's
why
what keeps him out of top 5 for
Yeah.
me. It's like you have to have a perimeter threat to be a legitimate threat to win the
Right.
title.
So,
Right.
Who do you got for your fourth one, Andre?
My fourth, I had Giannis and Chris Middleton.
Huh.
You know, they're obviously it's a they both have skills that complement each other. They're both very good defenders. Giannis is good driving, penetrating, pass off to Chris if he's gets coverage off of them. They're both clutch as hell. Chris Middleton's usually the closer for that team. I don't know, man. They're tried and true, tried and tested. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And their game plan, despite them losing 4 straight, their game plan was actually pretty solid. Giannis got rid of the ball a lot, but the people we were passing to were just missing. There was a lot of missed shots.
Yeah, and like it may be like shocking to you guys that they're not even on my list, and it was more because I weighted the duos kind of in relativity to each other.
Yeah.
And so Chris Middleton, he had a bit of a disappearing act in the playoffs, man. Like he was
He was
one of
still
those
a good
guys that
defender,
wasn't
though.
still a good defender, but not enough to where they're equal enough or close enough that I thought they were a strong pairing. I think Giannis is leagues ahead of Chris Middleton, and I mean just this upcoming Team USA basketball like tournament is going to be showing even more. Like, is he going to be able to dominate the ball or really show out? I'm not sure, and so I don't think he's high enough in comparison to Giannis to be on my list.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I gotta agree with Rich on that. I guess the way I look at it is, could I replace Chris Middleton and
Mike
that
Conley?
duo
Gets
remain
better?
the same?
Mm-hmm. Or get better.
Or it would get better a lot with a lot of players, right? And in these other duels, it's like, hey, can you get much better?
Right.
Like LeBron, AD. I mean, I put him at 4, right? Can you replace either one with somebody else and they get better?
I mean, 2 top 5 players.
Yeah. I didn't really look at it so much as talent level. I looked at it more as what can
You
they
got to
do
look at fit too
together.
as well.
Yeah, that's
So,
why I put them at 4.
So we're snaking.
But
right? Okay.
Middleton, I definitely. I mean, you're the best team in the league. You deserve to receive your props, and I believe this is Andre giving him his due. And I think it's a good pick.
Yeah.
It's a good pick. There's so many top duels now that you can't really go wrong. But
Who's your
solid pick.
Who's your third, Andre?
Oh yeah, it's my turn. Yeah. I have Kawhi and Paul George. They're both very similar players. Good on-ball defenders. Good. They can both create their own shot. They can pretty much do the exact same thing. My whole thing is like, can they learn to play together well? Because they do. Their skill sets overlap so much. Can they do the? Will they end up playing well together? And I think there'll be a little bit of figuring that out. Doc's obviously a great coach. They'll have Patrick Beverly. I don't know who's going to play the point. Like, who's actually going to create the
It's gonna
offense
be like
for
all
them.
3 of them.
Yeah.
But
So,
so for
I
the
don't know,
duos, I mean that's a duo I wouldn't want to face.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
Jesus Christ.
you just look at the talent
I
and
want
you're
to have
like,
the ball. Somebody's just gonna be jacking you.
Yeah.
Just highway robbery in the middle of the Staples Center.
they'd be calling ball game all game. So, board man, no ball game. All right. But yeah, I don't know. Just a very talented duo. And yeah, I mean, it's just hard to beat
You just
them.
have reservations about the match because they're so similar.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Okay.
But I
see
mean,
that.
the talent is there for them to be worth the ranking I'm giving them.
For the third spot, I have the Rockets. Russell Westbrook. We talked about it earlier in previous weeks, like how I think they're going to stagger the minutes some, and just like it must be so. It's going to be so tiring for opposing teams to play them, like with Rush constantly crashing the glass, constantly driving to the rim, jacking up shots, being kind of haphazard half the time, but then at the same time, when James Harden has his possession, he's just grinding the ball down, wearing you out, going in and out, dribbling, shooting in your face, stopping, starting, making you foul them. Like, just they're going to be like the ultimate grind you down or grind it out team for me. And just with their resumes, with all the stats they put up, with the clutch shots that Russell Westbrook put up in his MVP year and the stuff that we saw from James Harden last year, like, we're assuming good health for these guys. I think they're going to play a bunch of minutes, and they're going to be a fucking hard team to play against. So I have the Rockets third.
So I'm a spoil alert you guys right now. I don't even have these guys ranked because I feel like they're such a wild card. Like we just don't know if that fit's gonna work yet. And I can see them being very good, like you have them ranking, or I can see it not working at all. So I couldn't even.
Yeah,
I couldn't do anything.
I
with
agree
it.
100%. They're not on my list either.
Yeah.
For that very same reason. They're both very talented. They're both MVPs for very different reasons. But there's too much of a what if factor.
A variance.
Yeah, like you just have no idea.
I got a pretty good idea. We'll see what happens. But who you got for your third, JV?
That was your number 3.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So mine at number 3, I have KD and Kyrie. I feel like KD is the best player in the league when healthy. I think he secured that when he was on the Warriors. You can talk all about the supporting cast he had, but I feel like this is the guy that can will a bucket. Like literally, just think, I want to score, and it happens. Right?
They're both kind of like that.
He's
KD's just better at it.
He's what, 6'11", right?
Like 7
For the ladies, he's 7 foot tall.
7 foot for the ladies.
7 foot, power forward. You can jump shoot from the label if you wanted to.
Right.
The logo, sorry. He could jump shoot from the logo if he wanted to. Plays great defense. Can drive to the basket. Can block. Can grab rebounds. He's athletic. He has the will to win, despite what people may think about his move
He'll
to
take
the Warriors.
whatever hard road he needs to.
Despite what I think about the move to the Warriors.
I knock it down a little. I put them at 3 because the fact that, Kyrie's last year in a chunk in Boston wasn't all that. I do feel like he'll tighten down, and he realizes that he's not the alpha dog in this new locker room. And I think there was that definitely tampering there too. So I think they talked about that. I think KD is the clear cut number 1 there. So that's why I put him at 3, but I don't quite put him at number 1 because I feel like I got to knock down Kyrie a little bit because of what happened last year. He underperformed overwhelmingly. Like we talked about this a few podcasts ago, that was like the most disappointing result.
Way to go out.
Almost
Almost as disappointing as Giannis.
Against
Just a fizzle,
expectation. Like the gentleman sweep, and then just the entire drama of the whole. I mean, the teammate dynamic plays into it. But KD is so good that he pulls them all the way up to number 3. And I can't wait to see KD play again. I think he'll finally make his own name, and people can stop hating on him. I know I hated on him for a little bit, but this dude is the best player in the league. He just is.
Yeah.
Oh, and then that's me again. Right. What do you guys?
So number 2.
Good on that?
I actually didn't have them ranked because
wow.
even though y'all said we're doing this like regardless of injuries, I didn't have him for next season. I didn't have him for next season.
But like,
yeah, and I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm
like
thinking
that,
like
so,
top 5 duels is essentially like 10 best players in the league.
Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe.
For number 2, no, I get you saying the fit and everything. Number 2, I have Clay and Steph. The best shooting backcourt in the history of the NBA. 5 NBA finals in a row. 5 NBA finals in a row, winning 3 out of those. Wait.
Yeah, they won 3.
Yeah. 3 out of 5. Back-to-back MVP. First time ever unanimous MVP. And then the other guy's Klay Thompson. So
right.
like
the second best shooter, right?
Yeah, the second best shooter of all time. Plays great defense. Steph might be a slight liability on defense, but I don't care about that because his offense just outweighs it. Some people might question his clutchness, but at the end of the day, I think what he does in the first 3 quarters of the game far outweighs the last few minutes of the game because usually it's out of reach. So I put those guys at number 2.
Yeah, that's great. I completely forgot about Klay Thompson. Completely. I just straight up. Like, I know we were assuming health wasn't a factor, and that's actually going to factor into both my upcoming picks. For the second one, I actually had the Lakers. And so I know you were talking about how LeBron is regressing. And the reason that I think LeBron might regress is because he's not going to come back from injury as well, because he had his first major one with the groin. But if that's not a factor for him, he's, not an 82-game player, but he's going to be able to manage himself. And there's probably not one player that I would rather face, or I would dread facing more than LeBron James, still able to barrel down the court when he wants to. Anthony Davis, assuming good health, that's my knock against him too. That dude can do everything. Both of those guys can do everything from almost all positions. LeBron James can run the point. Anthony Davis can be center. He can shoot from 3-point land. He can defend. LeBron James can defend when he wants to. So so I got them for 2. I don't have to say a ton. Just assuming health is on their side, I definitely don't want to face them, no matter what whack-ass supporting cast they got around them. Yeah. We're just talking about the duos. So that's who I picked for my second one. Who do you got for your
2-on-2s?
So this is the first round where we have 2 of us who agree. So I also have LeBron and AD at the 2, just because.
Who is this man's number 1?
I don't know. I really don't know. maybe it's Klay Thompson. We'll see.
But I mean, it's LeBron. It's AD. I think LeBron is going to surprise us. He might have one more MVP season in him.
I think the surprise would be Anthony Davis for me. I know what I'm getting from LeBron.
You're saying it's like the talent is just so overbearing?
Yeah. I mean, it's LeBron. He's an all-time great. You got to give him his props. He's number 2. But But yeah, I think LeBron's going to come back healthy, be in contention for MVP this season. This is going to be, I feel like, his last real hard push before handing the reins over and committing to be a number 2.
How many years do you think that he has left?
At least he has one more contract after this if he wants to play.
So, like, realistically, 3 more years?
People
3 more
give,
chances?
Yeah,
people
at
are going to
least
give him
3.
money till it's 40.
At least 3.
That's crazy. He'll
Yeah.
play with Bronny, dog.
Yeah, for real. I mean,
I think that's the plan for him. So like
Play with his son?
he's getting one more contract after this.
That's never happened, I'm assuming, right? In the
Yeah.
history of, like, basketball.
the father and the son, probably not. And if it's not, then I'm sure that he's going to go for it.
Yeah, because you'd have to have had that kid, like,
And you were like 18.
I think he had him when he was like 20
when
or
you were
something.
18 and last till 40.
1836.
Because then you got 22 years for him to develop and
You're right.
get into the game. So Dirk, if he had a kid at 18, maybe you could have played with him.
Yeah,
But-
and I think you're right, Andre. I mean, even I talked about his health, but damn, the dude's played so many minutes, and he's still like
He knows his body. He spends so much on his body. Like I think he's good. I
It
think
reminds me of that old
yeah.
video where it's like the 2025 finals, Cyborg LeBron,
Well, and it's like
LeBron Jr.
it's like
versus
you
Steph Butt or
Butt.
Cannon Curry.
like you wouldn't think that LeBron at age like 37, 38 couldn't do what Andre Iguodala is doing for a team like if the Lakers are doing pretty well. You know what I
That's a
mean?
good comparison.
Andre Iguodala is super smart, super cerebral, not very good on offense. LeBron probably won't try as hard as on defense, but as good as he can be on offense, be in the right places, do the right things. If he's not the number 1 option, if he's the 3rd option, like, hell yeah, sign me up. So he'll be playing for a long time. Bronny will definitely be on his team. Like, there's no way it's not going to happen.
That'll be cool to see.
He'll have the LeVar Ball pull that LeVar Ball wishes he had on the Lakers. Like, he's
Yeah.
still going to control
Yeah.
the Lakers even in the future.
Yeah, that's true. I
So
can see that.
who's your number 1 pick on Andre?
You guessed right. It's Steph and Clay.
Yeah.
Because out of all these
Respect.
duos, these are the only ones who actually already have a ring together. So 2015, without KD, they got their ring.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I picked the Nets as my number 1 pick, assuming injury wasn't a factor. That's how great I think Kevin Durant is. I know Kyrie Irving disappointed a lot of people, including me, with his performance in the playoffs this year and his injury concerns in the previous year, but we're not factoring in injury concerns. We've seen what he can do as a second option, a guy that you don't want to have the game plan for when LeBron was on the team in that 2016 finals when he put up 40 points on the same night as LeBron did, and then now he's got another LeBron-like figure right right in the same locker room as him. And with Kevin Durant being an even more versatile scorer than Kyrie Irving, just imagine what will happen whenever that
You have two versatile.
two versatile scorers, one guy that can get all the way to the hole no matter who's in front of him, no matter who's on the court,
Yeah.
and then Kevin Durant gets to just be the recipient of that, someone that's a more willing passer than Russell Westbrook is.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving takes a bajillion shots, but I would still call him a more willing passer to the number 1 guy, which will be Kevin Durant. So
Yeah.
I'm going to pick him number 1.
That's a good pick. My number 1,
is
you
it-
guys could guess it, is going to be Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Everywhere I click on and read, everywhere I tune in and listen, all I hear about is how great Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are on both sides of the ball. They're two of the best two-way players. How many other ways are there to play basketball than 2 ways? 2 way? 3 ways? Is there a third way?
Oh,
Is there a third way, Rich, to play
we're
basketball?
only playing 3D
You can play
basketball.
like,
If you're playing-
There's 2 ways to play basketball.
there's only
right?
2 in
And
3D.
they're both like the best at both ways.
Well,
So, like, I think that kind of makes it easy, right? That they're the best two-way players, or 2 of the best two-way players. Case closed.
I just don't like it when people are like, "Oh, he's definitely the best 2-way player, but he's not the best player." Like
I
that's
said.
like not a knock. That's a positive.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So-
And both, both guys very likely to be in the MVP conversation. Paul George was just in it last year. He got hurt a little bit.
Kawhi was in it too. He just didn't play enough.
Yeah, he
That's
just
it.
didn't play enough games.
And-
Reigning Finals MVP. I think the thing that sets them apart, Andre, you mentioned how they play very similar, but they're also 2 very unselfish guys
Yeah.
on a very unselfish team with a very smart coach.
And they're both
I think the
pretty
entire
smart too,
dynamic,
so.
I think them having that coach adds to the duo. It's like a mini trio.
No, that's
Right?
for sure. And
But their unselfishness is what ultimately makes me put them at the top, and the fact that they can play the only 2
And
ways.
they all play defense.
that are to play basketball.
that, and like, what guy in the league wants to go play a game against those 2 dudes in a high profile situation? Like, you can throw those guys on almost any player in the league.
There's no such thing as a mismatch.
Exactly.
When you play against them.
Yeah,
And that's not
exactly.
even talking about the other 3 dudes. Just these 2 guys. Like, oh, my best defender, who do I put him on? Doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah,
Because the other
assuming
guy
good
can
health.
torch me.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So that's my pick for number 1. If you guys agree or disagree with our list, let us
Flame
know
us.
on
Flame us.
Let us know on Twitter. We want to see your top 5 duos. Shoot us a tweet at Shotcallers Show on Twitter. If you'd like us to mention your list on next week's show, send us a message on Twitter.
Or just put it in the iTunes review.
Yeah.
Or Apple Podcast.
Drop your
iTunes
comments,
review.
YouTube video,
It's like that's the primary form of communication. iTunes review.
Hey, I'm watching the
podcast
YouTube.
review. Put it in the
I'm
Apple
reading the
Podcast
comments.
review. Yeah, do that too. But Apple Podcast review, it's like the highway. You're on the express lane
Oh,
for show content.
yeah.
Cool.
I'm looking out for his Google boys. Don't worry.
That was a fun segment. We were all kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of everything, but obviously when you're talking about the 10 best player or 10 of the best players in the league, you can't really go wrong. Brings us to our next segment. It's our Twitter segment. A team we haven't talked about, the Indiana Pacers. So let's take a look and see what Twitter has to say. First tweet comes from @Ian_C_K. He says, I have Boston over Indiana in the standings because Oladipo is going to miss some time. I have the Pacers beating the Celtics in round 1. Brooklyn is better with or without KD. Should be back by March. I don't agree. So he says
The last
KD's
part,
back
I
in
don't
March.
know.
I don't think about that. But what do you think about the rest of it? He thinks that Boston will end up higher in the standings, but then come playoff time, the Pacers will actually knock them off.
I think that all depends on Oladipo. Like, how is he coming back? Is he going to be the same as he was? And then how soon will he be able to get integrated and playing well with the team?
Yeah.
Because Boston, I feel like they're going to be a pretty good team. But losing Horford is going to hurt them a ton, especially defensively. I don't know. I could see it happening, but I feel like Boston, if they can get off to a good roll and Tatum's not like sabotaging them, then they might take it.
Yeah, I think I agree with the Pacers over them. I don't really care about the standings because I have
that's
to
not really important,
see.
yeah.
But I think they would knock them off in a series because I do think Oladipo will be back. It's been plenty of time. The injury was early last season, so he should be ready to go at least no later than midway through the season. I think there's too much of a question mark as to was all that dysfunction
Yeah.
just Kyrie?
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't just Kyrie,
There's been reports. There's been reports
was
that
it just them?
it was the other guys
Yeah,
too.
they just
So,
lost one of their better locker room guys in Al Horford.
Yeah.
So who's to say that the dysfunction wasn't stirred up?
Well, did
by
y'all
Jason
hear
Tatum
about
or one of the other guys?
like Jaylen Brown asked what's his name? Name just escaped me.
Marcus Smart.
No.
Brad Stevens.
No, GM
Danny Ainge.
Danny Ainge.
Okay.
He said, "Do you think we could have beat the '87 Celtics? Do you think our team could have beat them?"
And he said, hell no, right?
He was like, "I can't believe he's asking that." He was thinking like these guys, they think they're way better than they are.
No, I didn't hear this report.
Yeah.
See? So there you go.
So like
These guys that might think mighty high themselves.
they had what, the third best record?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's no way.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, they didn't even all agree that Kyrie was the problem. Marcus Smart just came out in an interview like yesterday, talking about how Kyrie was his boy and it was everybody's fault.
Yeah.
So who's to say that that's still not something that's going on where Marcus Smart or one of the other guys resents Jason Tatum for something he said or did or whatever, right? And that's still lingering. Yeah, you got rid of Kyrie, but there's still ego.
Yeah.
There's still ego there.
And that benefits the Pacers.
Exactly,
Right?
which is why I think the Pacers would ultimately
They're
beat
humble.
them.
Yeah. They've been
And they only got
slapped
better.
around.
They added
They did.
Bojan,
Yeah.
Bogdanovich, 3-and-D. Like, I know you hate that 3-and-D terminology, Rich, but that's what he is. I think they only got better. And, I mean, Indiana was still winning without Oladipo last year.
They were.
They fell off a little bit, actually. They didn't fall off that much. Like, they still had a winning record without him. They just ultimately didn't win enough games to keep them above the Celtics. But with Oladipo, I mean, they could make a serious case to go at the number 2 seed. I don't think they'll reach Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee has the number 1 spot sealed. But they could, vie for the 2nd seed.
Yeah, I think Miles Turner should make an improvement. Not that I'm predicting that he will, but I think he should. He's in year 4 now, I believe, and he was thinking really highly of himself as far as defensive performance last season. I think he has a ways to go. He gets lost on defense sometimes and misses his man. He's good at shooting the 3, and that actually concerns me a little bit because they want to start Sabonis and him together on the floor this coming season, which is okay. DeMontis has some good potential, some good offensive moves, pretty crafty.
Mm-hmm.
But defensive liability, but he can't shoot the 3 super well, which is what I'm concerned for with the spacing, which is why Miles Turner has to space out. And I feel like if they don't have Sabonis in there, you have the maximum spread floor for Brogdon, Broggy Brogs, and and Oladipo to really.
I forgot they got Brogdon too.
Yeah. Brogdon's good, but for them to make hay.
That's the real.
Yeah, I forgot.
but I think they need to try to move off
Say
Sabonis
Boya.
and try to get something for him. So and then like if we're imagining this, having to go through the Celtics in the playoff run in the first round or maybe the second round, I think it will come down to defense. I like the defenders on Indiana. They try hard. I mean, that's half a defense or almost all defense trying hard. And as good as we saw Enes Kanter, like they were able to limit his limitations.
They got Kanter.
He's on the team now. And so on any team that's going to target.
He hooped in the playoffs.
Yeah. But it's a different system. He's not in the same system as he was with
true.
Terry Stotts. So I just wonder what's going to happen with them. And he's going to get attacked by super athletic, probably Oladipo, Brogdon, who knows how to make the right choices. So in that matchup that our guy, our tweeter,
Ian
_ K,
yeah,
is saying, I think the Pacers do go on top in that particular matchup. So yeah, great tweet, Ian. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Next tweet is from @Marola1507. They say, I like the Pacers when Oladipo gets back. Brogdon, Oladipo, Warren, Sabonis. He's anticipating keeping Sabonis. Turner with Lamb is a big lineup. Good defensively. Solid shooting. They're going to give teams trouble. So he has Sabonis as part of this large lineup. Do you think that could survive in this new era, Andre? Where teams are likelier to throw out smaller rotations?
I think it might be a little bit difficult in the East just because you got to look at the Sixers. You got to look at Milwaukee.
With Horford.
Like, those are big teams. Those are going to be big teams. So it might work matchup-wise depending, like against Boston maybe. But against those teams, like, they're elite defensively. You're not going to...
Even if you have size, the other team's just bigger. So
they're bigger, and they're still athletic, too.
So they got a better chance if they go smaller, you think?
But the big guys there... Well, yeah, I mean, you got to play your strengths. So at that point, you got to go small.
And that's at the top of the East, but the East is AAA. They still got to play against the Magic. They got to play. They got to play against the Hawks. They got to play against the Heat on their off day, or Jimmy Butler's not playing that evening. So I mean, the odds are that they're gonna definitely make the playoffs. So
for sure.
I see him pretty good, especially if Oladipo comes out the way that we want him to, looking like a phenom.
So I'm gonna go on to the next tweet. It's a lot like the first one, but it's taking a jab. Maybe the Pacers nation doesn't seem to like the Celtics very much. This one is from @BallerRogue. Pacers made smart moves and got their best player back. Boston didn't get better. They have to rely on growth and Hayward. I think they're closer paired than most think. So he's saying that a lot of people are higher on Boston, but he actually thinks that the Pacers are in a better situation.
I think they are. What do you think, Rich?
I do too, but I don't think that the Celtics are in some like quagmire that they can't get out of. Yes, it does suck that they lost Kyrie, but they did replace him with Kemba Walker, and at least for a season.
Horford's the bigger loss, man.
That too, but I just mean if you had to, before I get to that part, Kemba Walker, good, solid scorer, undersized. We all know that. Not afraid of the moment. Kyrie Irving, not afraid of the moment either. Able to shoot in big moments. With the way that Kyrie was as the number one option offensively on the team compared to Kemba Walker, I don't think there's much of a drop-off there. I think that their cohesion after Team USA, like I'm a believer, I think it's going to do wonders for them. And with most of the major egos out of the way, I'm up on them. So I'm kind of trailing off here, but that's where I'm at. I don't think they had a disastrous season as far as the Celtics go.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, Andre, you said you were going to say the Horford is actually a huge loss?
Yeah. Like the defensive, so they lose Horford. They lose that offensive and defensive production. You lose Kyrie, but you get Kemba. You get most of that offensive production with a more cohesive fit. Yeah. So it's like, definitely, I think Horford's the biggest loss for them. And I feel like, I forgot about the signings Indiana got. So overall, I feel like they're in a much better position. This is all assuming Oladipo comes back like as he was. But even without him, they're still a very strong team.
I agree. I think Horford was somebody that the Mavericks were looking at for a while.
I would have been ecstatic if we got him.
A lot of teams were looking at him.
Well, I was going to say, you can say that about any free agent that the Mavericks were looking at.
Exactly.
Well, I think just overall his productivity, he's one of the more efficient big men in a league where we're moving away from big men. And Horford's not your traditional like big man. Right. But in a league where big men are kind of like a surplus, we just talked about 3-4 names of guys that don't have contracts. And Horford being sought after and getting a big contract like that just kind of tells you how valuable he is. So I think you're right, Andre. That's a huge loss. And I think in the East, initially, you're not going to really feel it. But come playoff time, when you have to play the Sixers, you're gonna see it because then Horford kind of locked down.
Yeah, and he was Horford.
He put a body on Embiid.
Yeah, he did.
So
he plays him well.
Yep.
Yeah, Superman got kryptonite on his own team.
Awesome. So that does it for our Twitter segment. If you'd like us to cover a team that we have not covered, or actually tweet out the teams we have covered and the teams we haven't covered, and you let us know who do you like us to cover next, just shoot us a message on Twitter at shotcallersshow.
Oh, well, we're ending the Twitter segment, but I actually had 2 tweets that I wanted to bring up to you guys to kind of just to ask you guys about y'all's personal experience with pickup basketball.
Oh, okay.
One tweet was from, it wasn't from Devin Booker, but Devin Booker was the star of the video.
Yeah.
They were doing open gym at Lifetime Fitness or whatever fancy gym the NBA players go to. It was Tony Snell, Joakim Noah. I think Donovan Mitchell might have been there. And then Devin Booker catches the ball on the right, like 3-point wing.
Yeah.
And he's sizing up his guys in the corner, kind of in a disadvantageous position. We'll put the link in the show notes, but so everyone can see it. So the out of bounds line's acting as a defender, and then you can actually hear Joakim Noah say, "Snell, go double him." And Devin Booker's like, "Are we really double?" He turns the ball over, kind of frustrated. He goes, "Are we really doubling an open gym?" And really, like, we do. I get that all season, man. I'm trying to work on my game here. And then Joakim Noah's just like, "Yeah, we are. No, we're not. Yeah, we are. We're doubling. We're gonna keep doubling. We're playing. We're doubling." And so when you guys are out there playing, getting your run in, guys are like, call your own fouls, don't be a punk, whatever. Right. We're kind of playing street ball. But if you've played with guys that are trying to run like organized stuff, how do you feel about guys doing double teams and trying to do intricate things out there?
Gotcha. I'll just feel this one real quick because just a short tidbit. I remember when I first started watching a lot of basketball, and then I've always been the kind of like scrappy kind of person that wants to do all the small things. And there was one time where I got on the court, and this is when I was in much better shape, but the guy's coming down the lane, and I literally went in front and tried to draw a charge. And they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, "What do you mean? This is how you play basketball, if you're not going to give you the lane."
Oh, you're just going out there letting people
run
you over? And they're
like, "No, we don't do this here." Da, 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 da. And I get that charging is a whole other thing because you can get hurt.
Putting your body on the line.
But in my opinion, it's like, then what are we doing out here? Like,
where do you draw the line, right?
Yeah, and with the Devin Booker thing, like, we see all these videos of guys at Lifetime Fitness. Everybody looks amazing in that gym.
They're all tearing
Why?
it up.
Because they're not playing defense. So I'm with Joakim. Fucking double team him. If this is what you get all year, then this is what you should be, the conditions you should be practicing in.
And that's something that he's struggled with, double teams. So if anything, you got to work on that. And like Tony Snell's not a premier offensive player. He's got to work on, what happens when you double team a guy like that and how they're going to pass out of it and how to react. So it's not just you practicing on offense. Everyone's practicing. So that's where I'm at. What do you think, Andre?
Andre's been hooping a lot more lately. You do organize too, right?
Yeah. So I'm with y'all. I'm a competitive guy, and like defense is important. If you're not going to call like some things, or if you're even going to call fouls, you got to play with time. You got to play with everything, because things like when you call a foul, it has to mean something. Yeah, you get the ball, but like a guy can keep fouling forever, or like
if you're with no consequences,
like double teams, things like that. Like defense has to mean something. Otherwise, I'm just running around here waiting to get the ball so I can do my offense. Mm-hmm. Like playing the game has to mean something. If you're not calling like fouls, or like if you're not doing double teams, or if there's no time or something, there's no reason for you to play defense.
You mentioned that
there's no reason to play at all.
We hooped, and I was like, damn, you're right, because I felt like we were playing defense forever.
Yeah, you can play defense forever and nothing happens. Yeah, so it's like you're just getting tired.
Yeah.
So you got, at some point you got to draw a line, and it has to mean something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just trying to cross people over and do step back threes.
Devin Booker was trying to get the likes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he's out there for the clout.
We all remember a Hoodie Mello right before last season.
Looking fiery.
Woo! And then he gets on the Rockets. Guys are defending.
They're going to say,
man, what are you guys doing?
Exactly.
Nothing like Lifetime.
And then I had one other tweet to kind of just bring up as the addendum to our Twitter segment. Yeah. I retweeted it from our account, so you can catch it on our Twitter account. It's Damian Lillard. Everyone knows that we're all kind of fans of him. He's a stand-up guy, and I'm wondering if I'm the only one that kind of feels like this. So, and it kind of goes with our other tweet that we just talked about. But Damian Lillard tweets, "Since I started putting out music and taking it seriously, I have been better as a player. It's balance. I don't broadcast my training or have pickup game highlights that y'all love. ... But when the real thing comes, we see who was doing what when the cameras were off. Good morning." So he's saying, I'm not out here putting it all on the gram. I'm not here making highlight videos of Lifetime Fitness. But when it comes playoff time or it comes to regular season, it'll be evident who put the work in and who didn't. So I'm personally a fan of that. If you go on my personal Twitter feed, I don't have a ton of like, oh, here's me eating a sandwich. Here's me at the gym. Here's me broadcasting everything. I'm doing these things for myself and not for the likes.
Hey,
so,
you holding out on the sandwich spots, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they're for me. Andre's the one you want to follow if you want food advice.
Hey,
but
I don't even put it out there.
He's got all the spots. But yeah, so that's kind of what I think. I think it's you got to show it when it matters, not just for the Instagram likes or views or whatever like that. So we kind of have two contrasting.
Yeah, that's totally
there.
on the other side of what Booker was talking about, right? Damian Lillard don't care. He knows he's perfecting his craft, and all that matters is when he's actually on the court, right? So he's probably practicing things that are gonna actually happen.
Damian Lillard's been in the playoffs,
like the pull up.
He's been to the Western Conference Finals. Devin Booker has not been
to the playoffs.
He's not been out of the bottom two.
He's not had a winning record.
Yeah, so. Not to hate on Devin Booker. I think he's about to elevate.
He's just young. He's what, 20?
I mean, it's not his fault he plays for the Suns.
Yeah, that's true. It's the Suns' fault.
But yeah, so
I mean, it's a maturity thing. Like they come from, like we're 29. We're not like super old, but we're in our late 20s, and these guys are like they're young guys. It's just a different generational thing.
That's true. They were born with a phone in their hand.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
so those are Rich's tidbits. We'll call it that moving forward.
Yeah, I'll come up with a different name. But yeah, Rich's tidbits.
Cool. Again, if you guys like us to cover something from your Twitter, just put us in your mentions at Shotcallers Show, and we'll bring it up. If it's some quality stuff, we'll make sure to shout you out. But let's move on to fan mail. We got DJ sending us another message. It's a quick one. He wants to know, what are your early MVP predictions for this year?
Well, Andre put his in a little bit earlier.
I brought it up earlier. I think LeBron. I think one more for old GOAT James.
Let me reintroduce myself.
Yeah.
My name is Brian.
Brian.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's Taco Tuesday.
It is Taco Tuesday.
It is. Yeah, I got LeBron going for one more this year.
Okay. You think he just he was in the hyperbolic time chamber?
Yeah, and I think he's
pissed.
dialed it in last season.
He's pissed?
Yeah, he's fucking
he
fuming, dude.
Pissed. He ain't missed the playoffs in how many years?
Yeah. What, 10?
13?
Was it 13?
Something like that. Talking about playoffs.
Oh, no. Yeah. You're right. My bad.
It's been more than that. It's been like 13 years.
Yeah, 13.
I am going to go with Steph Curry.
Oh, a similar thing where there's less spotlight on him. He's got more opportunities to shoot because Klay Thompson's out.
Yes. So, when Steph Curry last year, this is from last year. This is actually from the last 2 years. When Steph Curry, when there was no Kevin Durant, he would take 25 shots a game, and then when there was no Kevin or Klay, he was taking 30 shots a game, and he's still shooting the same efficiency. When he won the unanimous MVP, you want to guess how many shots he took a game?
What, like
21?
21. Yeah.
So if this man is going to be shooting up 30 a game with that efficiency,
just chucking it.
He has a shot at breaking Michael Jordan's single season point record, which is 37 a game. I think he has a real shot at that.
It's going to be hard, man. He's getting older.
If James Harden couldn't do it, I don't know if Steph Curry could do it. But
now, he probably won't. But that's who I think should be the MVP based off what I think is going to happen. But he's not going to win it.
You think voter fatigue?
Not just voter fatigue. I think they're going to go with Giannis because Giannis is going to have a better record.
You took my vote. I was going to say Giannis because of what I was saying earlier.
Because I think we're done with the whole accolades era. There was like a 2-year era where it's like.
So you think the number one seed's going to win it again?
Well, I think the writers and the voters realized they fucked up when they gave Russell Westbrook the MVP.
Yeah.
Because of the triple-double record. Now they're like, oh, he did it again.
Oh, again?
Maybe it wasn't that special.
And again.
Because that's realistically, that's a when you go based off of just accolades.
Oh, you mean the stats?
Yeah,
the
stats.
There. Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha.
If when you go just off of stats like they did with Russell, right? What it does is it allows you to stat chase to become the MVP as opposed to what the MVP has been in the past. And it's like being the best player on the best team and having the stats.
Yeah.
Right?
And the narrative comes into play too.
And I don't think they're going to do that again. So unless Steph Curry can pull him up to the 2nd or 1 seed, I don't think he wins it because Giannis is going to be the best team in the East. And he's going to get better. And if he develops that jump shot, which I really feel like he did. We talk about Ben Simmons a bit, but a jump shot. Wait to see Giannis with a jump shot. that shit's gonna be out of this world, and Giannis is gonna be the clear-cut back-to-back MVP.
Is he the best player in the league with the jump shot?
With the jump shot, I believe he can be. If he can develop jump shot, he doesn't even have to have like a KD jump shot. He just has to have a jump shot where you demand the respect. And if he starts draining them at an efficient percentage, dude, he's the best player in the league. He's younger, he's stronger.
He's already putting them up. Like, he puts up the shots just to get the reps in. He's been doing it all season.
And now
not the greatest efficiency, but in some series in the playoffs, he had like 35% shooting, like respectable. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's exactly what my pick was going to be. I think he can go back to back for sure. I think he'll get that fire inside him to really just kind of trailblaze down to get a 60+ win season in the weaker East. And since he doesn't have another guy kind of pulling on his mantle, in my opinion, with Chris Middleton Middleton's like the perfect quiet second, star or key player that's not going to get the highlights, that's not going to pull it away from, the story of Giannis. So I think he's going to be Giannis for sure. We're in agreement.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are gonna play with the 70 mark.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think they got worse. They lost Brogdon and
it's not about
Mirotic.
that. It's just about Giannis got that much better.
Yeah.
I think Giannis is going to get that much better because of the way he went out, and then the East got weaker.
That's true.
It did. Boston's worse.
And Kevin's not playing this year.
Kevin's not playing.
Kawhi's gone.
Yeah. Kawhi's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, they got worse. Yeah.
Giannis did say he wishes Kawhi stayed so they could go at it again.
Yeah.
And I like that fire.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Andre, you said LeBron.
I still got LeBron, yeah.
LeBron, Giannis, and Giannis. Should be Steph.
All right, cool. But so that's that one. Thanks for the listener mail, DJ. We always appreciate when you contribute to the show.
Definitely. If you guys have a question you'd like us to answer, make sure to shoot us a message on Twitter to @shotcallershow. Email us to shotcallershow@gmail.com.
Leave a review on Apple Podcast app, please.
Make sure it is in love with the comment section of the Apple Podcast.
And the ratings. Yes, we got 7 of them. They're all 5 stars.
Awesome. We love you guys for leaving those ratings. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to drop your review. Andre, you got anything for the people out there?
Love y'all.
Love y'all.
Get the
really
likes on the gram.
But until next time, my name is JV.
I'm Rich. Bullseye Bustos.
And I'm Andre. I forgot my cool nickname. West.
I think I forgot your nickname too.
Just forgettable.
Oh, you're Big League West.
Oh, yeah.
Andre Big League
Forget
West.
the big leagues, man.
And we'll catch y'all next time, guys.